Hi, I'm Abby Teleria, Marketing Specialist from Melissa Data. Welcome to the first part of our SSIS Expert Series webcast. Today's session will focus on survivorship. Our data quality analyst, Joseph Vertito, will talk about what is survivorship and the consolidation problems that cause data generation. Joseph will also offer up exclusive tips for correctly merging data. A Q&A session will be held at the end of the presentation. You'll be able to type in your questions through the GoToMeeting interface. I'll let you know when that happens. Let's just jump right in. Joseph?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Abby. Again, my name is Joseph Bertito, Data Quality Analyst here at Melissa Data. And if it's your first time here, in case you didn't know, this is actually the first webinar we're doing for 2014 for the Expert Series. And if you actually want to view some of the other webinars we've done for the past years, those are all on the website if you're curious about that. We'll show you where to grab that later on at the end of the presentation. But again, today we're going to talk about survivorship. What exactly is it? What concepts are behind it? What kind of problems it tries to solve? And how to do it in the correct and best way possible as we see fit here as data. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. What is survivorship, and let's see. And how does it fit in the data quality spectrum? Survivorship is actually just one part of a big, big spectrum of theories and ideas behind data quality. And one of the things, or some of the things that we believe completes the definition for comprehensive data quality is what we see here in the screen, which begins with profiling and actually cleaning and standardizing the data. We've got the verification of the data itself, and as we also believe that data should always be updated, so keep everything up to date is also important. We've got, of course, then the concepts of matching and merging, and then last but certainly not the least, monitoring your data, keeping the quality of your data good over time. But where exactly does survivorship fit in all of this is actually in the merging process. So actually matching and merging process. And here, although it's only a small part of the entire spectrum of data quality, that's not to say that its importance is any less. And we'll try to really bring back the relevance to the concepts behind survivorship and try to help everyone realize that it is significant as far as data quality is concerned. So if we're looking at the actual merging process, again, the first step in order to be able to merge your data or consolidate your data is, of course, first and foremost, you need to perform your matching. So, for example, if you've got data, as I have up here, I've got 3 records, and if we take a look at this data, we can kind of see that the first and third records are actually, duplicates of each other. But the thing is, we want to be able to perform the appropriate fuzzy matching algorithms that we are to use in order to be able to match things like Joseph versus Joe, the address, with this one not having a zip code while the other one having the zip code and whatnot. And after you've actually done your fuzzy matching and your detection of duplicates, what you want to do is you want to be able to group all of these records together. So in this example, record 1 and 3 would be put in the same dupe group, group number 8, while other records are put into their own respective groups, depending on whether or not they were unique or they had other, or you found other duplicates. Anyway, so you match the records and then you group them up together, and after you group them, the next step is actually to do the actual merging process. Now, there are some problems with this if you think about it, because now that I'm looking at it, you've got record 1 and you've got record 3 here, but which record do you pick? And which of the data are you going to make use of? You've got a name here, a full name here, and then you've got another name here, but only with the nickname being used, and you've got a zip code here, while this one is blank. So how do you put them all together is actually the question we want to try and address here. And if we don't do this correctly, if we don't perform our consolidation in the best way possible, of course, this leads to all sorts of problems. Specifically, lost data. We're going to have all sorts of gaps and holes in the database. Uh, there's also a possibility to retain all sorts of bad data if we do this incorrectly. And of course, sometimes if we don't do the merging process correctly, then we'll still end up with duplicates seeping into the database, not being able to catch them or consolidate them correctly and efficiently. So, and I do say this all the time in most of my webinars. Data is not being collected for no reason. And what I mean by that is, people collect all sorts of data because they want to make use of it later on. If you have data for the purposes of maybe you want to do some form of targeted marketing, or maybe you want to be able to recontact your customers, your leads, or if you want to do some form of reporting and analysis on the data, whatever it is, you want to be able to do something with the data. And really, having good data allows us to be able to perform all of these functions efficiently and as accurately as possible. And this is, of course, being able to consolidate correctly and not losing any of our good data or the best data that we have will allow us to perform those functions even better. So again, just to re-emphasize the importance of survivorship and some of the problems we can face through that. Few more examples here. Sorry, I just got a notification. Hopefully everyone can still hear me just fine, saying that we're having network problems. Anyway, so that was a really simple example that I gave. What if, for example, we have something like a phone number and a date field, and we want to be able to use maybe the latest phone number based on the date? Well, that's something, of course, that you could probably want to do. Or maybe you have where you've got, records that have a phone number, a good phone number here, but a bad one there, or maybe a good email here and a bad email there. And what you want to do is you want to be able to consolidate this in such a way that you're not selecting the bad number or bad email. So again, just some simple concepts of some of the problems that you can face with regards to merging the data, and you actually want to be able to address all of these best way possible. So what the answer to this is, or the solution that we want to be able to put out there with regards to consolidation process, of course, survivorship. And really, survivorship, or how I would define the survivorship, is really all about getting the best values for all the domains that you have. And this is in order for us to be able to create single and accurate version of the truth. So one record that represents that entity in our data in the most accurate way possible. Now, now that we've seen what we have to do, which is merge the data correctly, now we need to understand what some of the common methods are in order to be able to do this. And just to name a few of some of the more common ones that we see out there, you got, for example, length of string, which uses either the most or least number of characters in a field or a combination of fields. For example, if you want to be able to use maybe the longest name, that's certainly a valid type of rule or method that you could use. Other people might want to for dates and time. So they want to be able to make use of the newest entries as opposed to the older ones. Frequency is also something very commonly used. Maybe depending on the number of occurrences coming out for specific types of domains, maybe you've got 5 records with the same address and you've got an odd one out with a different address. Of course, you want to be able to use the one with the most number of occurrences. And then maybe not used so much would be integers, but it also proves to be useful at times. If you want to be able to do something like maybe the largest number, or maybe a sum, or maybe an average of integers in a specific field, that's also a valid type of rule. And last but certainly not the least, one of the things that we're really trying to push out here, which is also proprietary and exclusive to what Melissa Data can offer for survivorship is the quality of data. And I think really the concept of being able to select the best quality data trust all of the other rules as far as consolidation goes. And the reason for this is really, I mean, the end goal, again, as what I mentioned, is in order to be able to create that single and accurate version of the truth, we want to be able to get the best values in every possible domain. And again, picking the best quality data for each of those fields, I believe would is actually the best way to do survivorship. So, and that's not to say that each of these rules should be used exclusive of each other. Combinations of rules can also be used, and we do actually recommend doing that as well. So if you need to do both, maybe the length and the date, then of course that's also something you could do. So now let's actually go through some examples. I do want to show you how things or how we solve these problems. And I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but we're actually, or the expert series, this expert series is actually going to focus a lot on SQL Server integration services. And for those of you who aren't familiar with SSIS, this is a product from Microsoft. It comes with SQL Server, and it's pretty much just like an ETL tool where you do extraction, transformation, and loading of data. So, and that's exactly what I have up here in my data flow. You've got, I'm pulling up data, I'm doing some transformations on it, and I'm dropping them into a some destination file that I wanted to go to. So we've got in the SQL Server Data Tools environment in Visual Studio, Melissa Data actually plugs in components, proprietary components into the data flow. So you could just drag and drop these like any other tool or any other component. So if I wanted to make use of maybe the match component, I could just do that. So you simply drag and drop it. But in any case, we're not going to go through all of these components. I actually have gone through them in some of my previous webinars. So again, I'll link all of that in the end if you want to learn more. But today we're actually going to talk about the matchup component specifically, and this is where we're able to implement our survivorship rules. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through this example. If we take a look at our source, I just want to show you how the source looks like. So we've got typical data, contact data that we've seen in some of the examples. So you've got names, addresses, city, states, and zip codes. And of course, you can see that the first and third records are duplicates. So let's see how the component will actually take care of this. I'm going to go ahead and run this just to show you the ins and outs of the data. So this is the incoming data. And if we press continue, this is what we get for the output. So we've got our surviving record now. It's filtered out that third record. It doesn't exist anymore. But what we've done here, as you can see, is we've taken the best of all worlds. You've got a zip code here in record number 3, and then you've got your full name here in record number 1. And after we've done our consolidation methods, you can see that the created record has the full name and it also has that zip code. Then this is what we want. We want to be able to combine rules for each of these columns and specify exactly what we want in order to be able to get those best results for our surviving record. So this is a really simple example. Now let's take a look at something else here. I've got another example, really simple, but this time I'm going to be using dates. So let's go ahead and run this guy. And as you can see, I've got typical records in my input. I've got another record 1 and 3 again. Should be the same record, but they have dates this time. You've got 10/25/2014 for one and an older date for the first record. And I told the component to basically give me, the latest record or the latest information that has, the latest information. So if we press continue here, let's take a look at what we get for our results. And as you can see, both the phone number and the date are now being carried over in my surviving record. All right. And moving on, we could also make use of most frequently occurring techniques. And we look at data for this example, you can see that two records at the end, these two records actually are more occurring or more frequently occurring than this phone number, and I told the component to basically give me the phone number that has the most frequently occurring values, and that's exactly what I have or what I got from my surviving record. So 949, 589, 5200 is now being selected as a surviving record, along with, of course, all of the other values here with my address and so on. Another example here of using integers this time. Let's go ahead and run this guy. So you got, again, similar records here, records 1, 3, and 4. But this time we've got a purchases field over here with one record having 1 purchase, another record having 4 purchases, another one having 2. And then also here you can see I've got a phone number, a different phone number for one, and a different phone number for another. So I want to be able to merge all of this data again. So let's see how we're able to do that. And what I've actually done here is I've used a combination of rules. And this time we're using integers. What I've done is I've told it to do a sum of the purchases. So now we've got a total number of 7 for my purchases, which adds up 4, 1, and 2 here. And now that gives us a 7. And aside from that, it actually selected for me the 800 number. And the reason for that is because I've also specified a rule that tells me, hey, get me the phone number that actually has the largest number of purchases. And that for me would become the most relevant record from how I understand my data. So as you can see here, there's a pattern that we're trying to I'm trying to show you guys. And data, of course, is not going to be the same for everyone, but the rules that you could implement or you could leverage is going to be similar, if not the same. So, of course, again, depending on the type of your data, really the secret is being able to know what the requirements are for your data. And after you understand that, it's all about being able to formulate the methods in order to consolidate data correctly, whether you're working with integers, you're working with strings, dates, and all sorts of other types of information. And last but again certainly not least, okay, let's see, let's go ahead and run this guy. I want to talk about the quality of data. And this is, again, exclusive to what Melissa Data offers for survivorship, for the concepts of survivorship. And this is something that we came up with and we think is really relevant for data consolidation. So the data looks like this. We've got typical, contact records again, names, addresses, zip code, and email addresses. But the thing is, if we take a look at this data carefully, we can see that we've got a bad phone number here, but a good one right here. Same thing with emails. We've got, bad email here, but a good one over here. So we actually want to select this value for this record and this value for this record. We want to select this zip code for this record, but we want to select this name for this record. So it's like, imagine trying to formulate all of these rules by hand through some query or some script. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you never know if you're going to get the right results every time. And the thing is, again, we're trying to come up with solutions here that makes it really easy for everyone, and that's, I think, what we've done here. And as you can see, we've kept the name, the full name, we've preserved it, we've preserved the address now with the correct zip code, we preserved the good phone number, and we preserved the good email address, right? And maybe you're wondering, well, how are you able to do that? And really, it's all about being able to use our tools. Actually, it's a combination of our tools that allows you to do this. But in a nutshell, we have an understanding of how your data is or how good the data is. And that's proven here by the results column that I'm showing you. Now, I'm not going to go in detail as to what these are. I just want to give you a little summary of what it does. But basically, these results field allow me to have a better understanding of the data. It tells me whether the email was good, if the email was bad, or this record has a better score than the other record. So this results field is a secret and allows me to select the best quality data for each of these columns. So this, I think, really empowers the users who are trying to merge data to be able to select the best quality data, especially when we're talking about contact data. And using a combination of our tools, this is doable. You will be able to achieve this type of survivorship techniques. Now, I didn't show you the component itself. I didn't want to go too much into detail about how to set up the component. I think what's important here is that we understand the concepts behind it, what we can do. But if you want to learn more, then send me an email, go to our website, download our tools, and try it out yourself. It's easy to use, but if we open it up here, everything is GUI based. All you really have to do is map your data and then set up the rules that you have to in order to perform or satisfy the business requirements that you have for survivorship. So now, just to recap some of the things that we talked about, we've seen what survivorship is and how it fits in the overall spectrum and image of data quality. Just one part, or I would say a part of that entire spectrum. That does not go, that doesn't follow that it's not any less important. This is something that we want to bring back relevance to. A lot of people probably, disregard performing good survivorship. So we want to be able to emphasize this importance. We've seen some of the problems that we can have if we don't do survivorship correctly. I've tried to show some of the common methods for consolidation, a longest string, latest record, using integers, and of course, we've got the exclusive approach that Melissa Data is trying to push here for improved survivorship, using the actual quality of the data. And of course, I've shown you a bunch of examples in implementation of how to be able to do that from within SQL Server integration services. So it's a short webinar, but hopefully we are able to take on something new from this. My information is here on the screen. 800-800-6245 is our phone number here in Melissa Data. My email address, joseph@melissadata.com. And of course, you can visit our website. And if you want to download the demos for SSIS, these components, you can click this guy here and it'll actually take you to the downloads page. We can send out the slides. We'll send out a link to the slides later on to all the attendees so you can download what I have here. Just click here and download the demos. And the good thing is that these data quality components for SSIS, I do want to mention that it has a community edition version. So aside from, in other words, it will give you some functionality right out of the box. So community edition will provide you with a lot of different types of functionality. So check it out. You don't have to pay for any of these demos. But if you do want to demo the full product, just let us know and we'll help you out. And I wanted to show you some resource here. Okay, so if you go to the website, you click on resources. Let's go to www.melissadata.com. Go under resources, go under webinars. You'll see all of the past expert series that I've done. And as you can see, for SSIS, I've done a bunch of stuff. For a bunch of other solutions, I've also done a lot of concepts behind data quality. So take a look at the webinars here. And that's pretty much it. I think we're good. Yeah, so we'll be answering questions now if there are any. There should be a chat box in GoToMeeting where you can type in questions.
Okay, the first question is, does it matter which version of Visual Studio is used?
So we actually support 2005 SQL Server, 2008 SQL Server, and 2012 SQL Server. Now, you don't really need the full version of Visual Studio to be able to use SQL Server integration services. If you have, what you actually need is Microsoft SQL Server, and that comes with all the things that you need. It's called, for 2005 and 2008, it's called Business Intelligence Development Studio. For 2012, it's called SQL Server Data Tools. But you don't need the full version of Visual Studio installed. But again, 2005, 2008, and 2012, we all support that.
Okay, the next question is, when using most frequently occurring to determine survivorship, how are ties settled?
So that's a good question because there will be ties, and as much as possible, this is where the combination of rules become useful. You want to be able to settle that using, so if you have another type of rule and use the combinations of those, then the chances of having ties or breaking the ties would be handled in a much better fashion. But of course, it's not always the case, but yeah, try to make it so that the rules that you have will ensure that you won't have any ties. And if you have to use combinations of these, then that's what we recommend doing.
Okay, good question here. Is there any way to make your components work using SQL Express versions?
Unfortunately not, because SQL Express does not come with integration services, and it is required to have integration services to use the SSIS components. Now, the keyword here is SSIS components. Because our solutions aren't limited to just SSIS components. This is a specific type of technology that I'm showing you here because it's very popular, but we're certainly not limited to that technology. If you need to create some store procedure, if you need to create custom code, programmable solutions, that's something that we can integrate to as well. We have APIs, we have web services, so I don't want to give that impression that we're only catering to SSIS. So if you are using SQL Express or whatever it is that you're using, we might have the appropriate technology for that. So.
Okay, here's another good one. Could you show us the GUI match SSIS plugin?
So unfortunately, I didn't go through that in detail for this webinar. I wanted to keep it not too technical, but more focused on the theories itself. If you want, I could have a one-on-one session with you, and I can talk about the components, and you can ask me all the questions that you want. But send me an email, joseph@melissa.com. I'll be more than happy to present to you the GUI and go through it with you one by one. Also, take a look at these past webinars that I've done. I should have done here, I believe one of these should have matching. Well, anyway, we'll take a note of this. We'll send you the appropriate link, but we do have a video that will show the GUI, so we'll work with you on that.
Another question, are these components available for any ETL solutions other than SSIS?
Yes, they are. We actually, well, I have worked with a couple of other ETL tools, but specifically if you're using Pentaho, we plug directly into that. Pentaho has a marketplace, and we're part of the marketplace for Pentaho. So you could download those components from their marketplace. Another ETL tool that we plug into is Talent Data Integration. We don't work with them directly, but their consultants have built their own tools that use Melissa data. So all you really have to do is, talk to Talent, and they probably can give you the appropriate tools that you need that use Melissa Data's APIs. So yeah, Talent has them. And for the most part, from what I've learned from a lot of these ETL tools, they provide some way to integrate scripts. And that really is the key concept here. It's scripting, because you drop in a scripting component. So in SSIS, you got a script task that will allow you to access APIs through C# in Pentaho and Talend. You could drop in a Java scripting component, and that allows you to access APIs that you want. I've actually done it in all of those. So if you wanted to use the APIs directly, yes, you can do that. You can access this through a script, and we will provide you the means of doing that. So yeah, you use whatever ETL tool you want, as long as there's a scripting component. There's a way to access third-party APIs. And also, one more thing is we also have our own ETL tool. So if that's something that interests you, Melissa Data actually provides our own ETL tool that has all these tools and all the capabilities of typical ETL solutions out there. So.
Okay, that's all the time we have right now. Thank you again for attending our webinar. If you had a question that wasn't answered, you can contact Joseph at joseph@melissadata.com, or we'll get back to you. Thank you again, and I will send out a link to a recording of today's event. You should receive it in an email tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.